Finally, guys, we're back for part 3. So here we have the GASGAS 450. I went ahead and swapped out our dyno wheel. It's really hard to tune a dirt bike when it has the knobbies on the rear, so I went ahead and swapped it out for a street tire. Now we're going to go ahead. I know a lot of you guys wanted to hear this run last time, so we're going to start this baby up and head over to the dyno. All right, so we went ahead and got the bike strapped down in the dyno. And I wanted to go over with you guys what we have going on for the fuel system in this bike. A lot of people are wondering, how are you modifying fuel? And what I'm doing is I'm actually running an older Power Commander, a Power Commander 5 from a 2015 model. And what I'm doing is I'm only using the ignition pickup leads and the fuel injector leads off of this Power Commander, which essentially only allows me to adjust statically for fuel. The only difference between this older Power Commander and the newer ones is basically the map sensor changed for these bikes, and that's why they don't make a new Power Commander for them. So I'm running this older one, and the reason I went with a Power Commander 5 instead of a 6, because they make a 6 for the 2015 models, is this Power Commander 5 allows me to adjust fuel by up to 250% in both directions, where a Power Commander 6, due to EPA regulation, is only going to allow you to change 15%, which obviously wouldn't work with this turbo setup. We're going to about double the fuel we're putting into this in order to make it work. And the only other mod I have at the moment to the fuel system, I'm running the stock injector and stock fuel pump. What I did is I upgraded the fuel pressure regulator inside of the tank right here from a 3.5 bar setup to a 4. And what that allows me to do is basically put out a higher fuel pressure. Now, what I didn't know when I ordered the 4 bar fuel pressure regulator was that the stock one is actually adjustable. You could just turn in the screw more and it'll tighten up the spring and up your fuel pressure. But I actually turned up the 4 bar fuel pressure regulator to about 4.2 bar. I just turned it in a little more than you normally would. And the reason you need the higher fuel pressure, because I'm not running a rising rate regulator in this turbo setup. And what a rising rate regulator does is for every pound of boost you're putting into the engine, it raises your fuel pressure by 1 psi as well. So it's a 1-to-1 fuel rising rate fuel pressure regulator. Now, that would be very tricky to implement into this setup because the fuel pressure regulator is in the tank and so is the pump. So I'd have to ditch this completely and run an external pump in the tail somewhere. And I really didn't want to do that. But now the reason you need higher fuel pressure is because we're shoving 8 pounds of air into this turbocharger, into this plenum, into the intake. So now the injector has to fight 8 pounds of air in order for it to spray. So you want to up it by at least the amount of boost that you're running. Ideally 1-to-1, raise the fuel pressure with the boost. But we're not going to run that on this setup. I'm just going to run it statically and see what it does. Hopefully we don't run out of injector. I don't know what these, I know, I think they're like 200 or 300 cc injectors out of the box. It might even be up to 400. I could be mistaken. So that is a concern for today, but an air-fuel ratio gauge built into our dyno right here, and we also have one built into the dash. So we're going to monitor our fuel, raise the boost slowly, and slowly work out a tune. Now, hopefully, since I ditched that stock map sensor, I don't run into a problem where basically the stock map sensor was never made to see boost. It's not a, it's not a 2 or a 3 or 4 bar sensor. So what can end up happening is it's going to send my fuel table into a null area. It's just going to go way out of bounds because it's not used to seeing boost pressure, and it normally never would. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I want to try unplugging the map sensor if that does happen. But without further ado, let's just get some pulls in this thing. That's really what you guys want to see. So let's get to it. So the bike is now half torn apart. I was having an issue. I ran a few pulls here, and my first pull, we made 57. Second pull, we made 56. Now I have an 8-pound spring in here, and this thing was just not building 8 pounds of boost. It should have been far over 57 horsepower. These make 54 claimed horsepower. They probably put down above 50 out of the box, but still, this is like what I'm making. So I did another run where went ahead and was looking at the blow-off valve to make sure that it wasn't opening and letting out air before, before red line, before you let off the gas, and it wasn't. So I went ahead and went to this side, and I tied off the line going to the wastegate. So, like, theoretically, it should have built infinite boost with this, and it made a little more horsepower. It went to 60 horsepower. That was run number 3 right there, which is the green graph. Sorry if I could hold this steady. That's the green graph. But it still wasn't building the right power, so I went ahead and pulled off the air cleaner. And right away, I mean, right from the bottom right here, it's making, you know, more power right out of the box. It was running a lot better, it seemed like, a lot more free-flowing. And you could see on that red graph, it was starting to climb. It was on a, you know, it was on a mission. If these two lines met and that dip wasn't right there, it'd be making about 61 horsepower. And if you compare the graphs, I only went to about 5,000 or 6,000 RPM where it made that peak horsepower. So you got to figure it's making 60 horsepower at 5,000 once I got off that air cleaner. So what I have to do is, it was leaning out on that dip right there. So I'm going to go ahead and smooth that out, add more fuel, and see if we can keep this mission going all the way up to, I mean, based on the looks, if we can keep that trail going, we'll be at hopefully our 80 horsepower number, maybe even greater because of the look of this graph. I mean, it looks like it's going to climb up. Probably 70, 80 horsepower. So let's see what it does. Now I'm going to reconnect the line to the wastegate so it only does make 8 pounds of boost, because right now, if I let it, it's going to make everything, and we don't want to do that quite yet. So maybe not on some better fuel, but we're just on ethanol pump gas that I picked up at the station. So we had to turn up the fuel quite a bit, but this is our current spring. We made 72 horsepower on that last run, 71.95. That's to the rear wheel. Now, you can see I still have to smooth out the map. I only did the 100% map so far, so I've just been working, giving it 100% throttle. And this will give me a good reference of what to do like at 80%, 60%, and so on. What the DynoJet Power Commander does is it takes the average between the two cells anyway. So I have to up the fueling on 80%, 60, pretty much across the map. But I'm going to go ahead and put a bigger spring in it, see what we can do. We definitely have enough fuel. You know, we're not maxing out the injector by any means. We're only at 40%. So realistically, this injector could probably 100 horsepower or something like that. I don't know if we're going to max that out today, but I'm definitely going to up the spring to, say, like 10 pounds, maybe even 11 or 12. And then we're really going to see what it does. 82 horsepower. Let's go. And here is our final run for the night. 80.25 horsepower to the rear wheel, just like our goal, 80 horsepower. I'm glad we can make it happen. We just about ran this thing out of fuel, so I think we have to call it there for the night. And we're also running out of fuel in the injector. We're at about 70% duty cycle. And even then, it could use a little bit more fuel. So I think 7 pounds is going to be the most we can end up running on this. But, you know, 80 horsepower at 7 pounds of boost is incredible, really. I'm going to get a bigger injector on the way, and we're going to turn it up to like 12 or 15 pounds coming, you know, later down the road and try to hit maybe 100 horsepower at that point. Or maybe not. Probably need a little more boost than that. But I think the goal is to eventually hit 100 horsepower. I think at anything more than what we're making now, though, we're going to start to slip the clutch. We're going to start to just burn through clutches at a phenomenal rate. So, and burn through fuel a lot quicker too. So I'm going to fill this thing up. We're going to do more runs coming up, but 80 horsepower, I think that's a pretty good spot. We're going to call it for the night. I think that's going to end this video as well. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more stuff like this, like I said before, please like and subscribe. The builds are only getting crazier. I mean, this is just the start, and you guys haven't seen this thing rip yet. We got to take it down the road with the street tire. and also taking in the dirt, a paddle style tire like a Dunlop MX14 or MX12. I want to put a scoop tire on it and really tear up some dirt, send a roost 40 feet over the wall over there. So that's coming to a theater near you. But I'll see you guys soon. Thank you.